welcome to Super Talk Show. It's so great to have you with us today.
Hi, Heidi. It's really nice to see you again, too.
Yeah. And to start off the interview, would you like to give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Okay, so I'm 17. I'm currently doing my IGCSEs, so I'm doing the Cambridge system. And I live in Southern Africa in this small country called Botswana. So yeah, that's quite interesting. And I got third place in the Harvard Crimson Global Essay Competition. That's obviously how I know you too. Yeah, so.
Yeah, definitely. So to start off the interview, of course, much of our audience are definitely like participants of Harvard Crimson Global Essay Competition 2023 or beyond. So let's just get straight to the point, and let me ask you the question that everybody's waiting for, which is, how do you think you won at third place in the argumentative category?
Okay, so yeah, mine was the argumentative category, and I think with the prompts they give you, there's a lot of leeway you have to be creative. So the main thing you have to do is when you start to pick a prompt, you really have to pick something that you're interested in and have a strong opinion on. So it doesn't have to be like a life or death situation, but you just have to have an opinion that you would like people to know about. That will give you a really good basis to start with. And the second thing is, I don't think people realize how hard writing really is, because if you think about it, writing is basically thinking put into written form, and thinking is not easy for most people. So yeah, I think that's the first thing you have to do. And it also takes a lot of time. And it's not like writing is something that you can actively measure in output, like, oh, I made 6 of these today. Like, you can sit there and you've written 500 words, but you've spent like 5 hours researching and editing and picking the right words, which is also really important to pick the right words. And then like, you may feel like you haven't achieved anything, but you've worked for like 5 hours, but that's okay. I mean, you just have to grind on.
Yeah, definitely. And you talked about selecting the right word. How do you navigate that process? Because I know it's different for everyone. Sometimes how I go about it is just searching up the word synonyms. And yeah, how do you select the right word? Or let me ask, do you like write and then change the word, or write and stop and think of a word on the spot? Or
Yeah, okay. So sometimes I'll stop and think of a word on the spot. Like sometimes you write a sentence and then you're like, oh, okay, that word doesn't fit. I'm just gonna change that immediately. And if I don't have a word from the top of my head that's not a good synonym, which most of the times I don't, then you just search synonyms. But yeah, what I usually do is I'll have themes for every paragraph I'm going to write. So if it's 1,000-word essay, it would probably be 5 paragraphs or so. Then I'd be like, okay, paragraph 1 and 2 is going to go about this, paragraph 3 and 4 is going to go about that. So then I'll just like write whatever comes to mind, tap, tap, tap. And then it won't be very good, but the ideas will be down on the paper. And then I'll go sentence by sentence. So I'll read one sentence, then I'll be like, is that the best possible way I could put it? And then I would look at the words and then be like, maybe I could rephrase that or rewrite the words. And then I do that for every sentence in the paragraphs. When you break it down, just do it paragraph by paragraph. I know it sounds a lot, but it's actually not that much if you break it down. That's been the most effective way for me. That's how I did the Crimson Global Essay Competition essay. But when you don't have enough time, then you can't do that for like a school project or something, or when you're sitting in exams, that takes too much time. But I would still recommend that, and then just skim through, don't go through sentence by sentence. And then when something pops out to you, because most of the time something will pop out to you and you'll be like, okay, that just doesn't come off the tongue right. Then change that. Yeah, that's the process I go for.
And you said something about like writing on paper, and my eyebrows just went, what? Do you write on paper? Or
no, I don't.
Okay.
No, that's just, I'm just saying get it down on paper. It sounds better than get it down on the screen or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
I do like to write on paper, but the thing is, on paper, you can't just write what you think and then erase it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely faster for me at least, to type on the computer and really just, I'm a perfectionist trying to write on paper. So like I like to use the eraser like pretty effectively and just spend a lot of time erasing, rewriting, looks ugly, rip the paper. So definitely computers. Yeah. And that actually brings me up to the next point, which is saving time. Because for the audience, just for context, after you win, or after you get into the globals round, so there's 2 rounds to the essay competition, you only have 1 week to write your essay, so you barely have time. And you also need to handle schoolwork, exams, stuff like that, so definitely time is really important. And Armand, how did you navigate that process, getting, or talk a little bit about like your reaction getting into getting into the globals round, and then working your way to the championship?
Okay. Yeah, so I'm a terrible pessimist. So the competition was one of the first I've ever done. And like when I finished writing the essay for the regionals, it was just 500 words. Then I was like, okay, I think it's all right. I mean, I showed it to my English teacher and some of my friends who are pretty smart, and they were like, yeah, it's all right. So I was like, okay, I might get into the regionals. And then when I got into the regionals, it was like, oh, wow, okay, maybe I have a shot at this. And then after the regionals, it was really, yeah, that was really tough, because when I did my essay, it was an argumentative essay. So you take a standpoint, right? You come at it from one side, and then in the emails they sent us when we got to regionals, they said you have to take the opposite standpoint for your next 500 words, which was a real curveball. That was the toughest thing to navigate, because I really made my argument rock solid the first 500 words. So to argue against myself was tough. That sounds arrogant, but it's not that difficult. So then when we just had a week left, I was still doing school at that point. We were nearing our exams too, so it was really tough. Yeah. And so I would get home from school at 3 p.m. Yeah, like 3:30 p.m. I'd get home from school. Yeah. And then I would write for 3 to 4 hours, like 3 to 7 every day, or 3 to 8, and then I'd stop. And then I just did that till Friday, until we had to submit. But yeah, that sounds crazy, but I wouldn't do that just like every day. That was just for that week, so I could finish my essay and submit it. But that was tough, yeah.
Wow, very interesting. When does your school start every day?
So our school starts at 8 a.m. and then it closes at 3 p.m. Yeah. We have sport at school too. So in the summer, it would start at 7 p.m. So we have sport in the mornings and then close at 2 p.m. So yeah, 8 hours of school a day. Just crazy.
Yeah, apparently we have 8 hours and 10 minutes. So our school ends at 3:40. And when you said 3, I was like, oh, so lucky. But yeah, I really love your regional round, or sorry, your global round reaction. You just went, oh, okay.
No, it wasn't like it was more like, oh, okay, I might have a chance now, because before that I was like, okay, I don't really care. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna get in. But it was like, oh, okay, maybe like that.
Tanya's reaction was way different. She was like, whoa, so excited. And you were, oh, okay.
Yeah, we are literally the opposites. Yeah, she's the most emotional person I know, and yeah, I'm like a dead rag. So
Okay. And one more question I want to ask you is, like, from your, of course, you won 3rd place. And one of the prizes you got was an internship at the Harvard Crimson, which we experienced all together. And I'm wondering, how was that experience like for you? And talk a little bit more about, like, just give some insights into the internship, because I'm sure all the audience are super excited about it.
yeah, so the internship we did was virtual, and I really enjoyed it. I think the thing that I appreciated the most, apart from just the work and learning, was the people. Because yeah, I really liked who our supervisors were. They were really, really nice. I liked all of them. And apart from that, all of them are so knowledgeable and smart. So
Mhm.
that's the main thing I would take away from that is we really learned a lot from them. And my favorite part of the internship was probably having a content buddy. So that is where we would
Mhm.
like shadow a different writer from the Crimson, and there were a few writers we could shadow. And the guy I got, I really liked, and I wrote articles with him, and he really helped hone my writing skills, which I love writing, and he really helped me take that up a step. So that was probably my favorite part. And getting to know all the interns too, like all of you was so nice. I'm glad I met all of you. So I really enjoyed it. I also did school while I was doing the internship for the most part, except like the last week, which was,
Wow.
yeah, no, I was feeling pretty burnt out by the third week, but hopefully if people get the internship in the future, they don't have to do school with that, because that again was like get home from school, do 3 hours of the internship or whatever, and make
Mm.
sure you get everything done. But yeah, if you have good time management skills, then you can really surprise yourself with how much you can do in a day if you just get up a little bit earlier and do things a bit quicker and watch YouTube shorts, at least in my case. Yeah, then you could really surprise yourself. But it was really tough. But I don't think the the amount of work they gave us was too much.
Yeah, I
I
think
just had
that's what
school
you
and
had
stuff
enough.
too.
It was
Yeah,
right. It wasn't overwhelming, but it was enough to like learn from it, not like too little.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a wide array of skills I learned too. Like apart from writing, I was on the SJA marketing team, so project team. So we did a lot of designing too, which was nice, like designing Instagram posts and stuff on Canva and Figma. And we learned about advertising, like Google Ads, which was really interesting. And I'm sure that would be helpful in the future.
Yeah, totally. And I think that was like a perfectly smooth transition to my next question. You touched upon, both shadowing a content writer and also working on like advertisements. So my next question is, if you were going to be a writer at the Harvard Crimson one day, would you prefer personally, like through the multitude of boards there are, would you prefer the content board more or being part of the business board? It's a
I would
tough.
honestly really, yeah, it's a tough one. I would honestly really like to be in either, but it would probably be the content board if I had to choose. Like I take business studies in school, but I'm not a very business-minded person. So the content board just interests me more. I don't really have a reason for it. Some things just interest you more than other things, and that happened to interest me more. So
Mhm. Okay. Awesome answer. That is also the opposite of what Tanya answered.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Finish off the interview. The question I would give you is, and I ask that to every Super Talk Show guest, if there's like one quote from you that we can hear to, inspire our super audience, or like a motivation that makes you get up every single day, what would that be?
yeah, I'd have to think about how I'd phrase that. Well, the thing that I just always follow to be inspired is I like to read and consume content and like search things up a lot. So I would just say like observe what's happening around you and see what's happening in the world. And when there's something that interests you and you have something to say about it, say something about it. Because when you have something to say, silence is a lie. And I think you should be like loud about the things that are important to you. And there will be a lot of things that are important to you. So just do that and speak your mind. And I think that really takes you on an adventure. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect answer to that question. Yeah, so definitely thank you so much, Armand, for being on this talk show. It was great having you and having to hear that you have so many things to share about like your experience. And I'm pretty sure that benefited our super audience. No, super talk show audience. What's super audience talk show or whatever? Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Heidi.
Mhm. Bye, Armand.
Bye-bye.